Chelsea sacked Liam Rosina not that long ago, and Calum McFarlane is in charge for the rest of the season. We are in an FA Cup final, but these are the potential managers that have been linked to Chelsea, and we're going to rank them all in this video. Make sure to comment your thoughts on each manager and stick to the end to see the final result. The first manager on the list though is John Terry, and even though he is a legend of the club, I'm putting him in it's unrealistic and it is just wrong. He doesn't have any experience of even coaching in the first team, I don't think. He was an assistant manager at Aston Villa with Dean Smith, which is hardly Maresca coaching with Pep Guardiola, is it? He has his coaching badges, and I think he was crashing out on TikTok or something saying that he hasn't been approached by the sporting directors, and then the sporting directors told him apparently that in no uncertain terms he will not be getting this job and he will never be getting the Chelsea job as long as they're in charge. You compare him to the other managers on this list and he has got no chance. I was sort of surprised he wasn't added to the backroom staff with Calum McFarlane, but they just must not like his character. If JT had a bit more experience in coaching and you could see what he actually can do, then maybe. But yeah, you compare him to these other managers that have been in the game for even short amounts of time, had success, and managers that have had so much success, there's zero chance. Sorry, JT. Next up, Oli Glasner. Incredible job with Palace. Really developed some of the best young players in Europe. Eze, Elise, Mateta, great striker nowadays. Adam Wharton. He has developed these careers into really exciting ones, showing that he can work with young players and just coach them really well. Won an FA Cup with Crystal Palace, which is insanity, but he is a combustible character. He calls out the hierarchy at Palace now and then. He's basically just rage quit. He's just tapped out of Crystal Palace. There was the big feud with losing Mark Gahey for ages, and yeah, he just wouldn't work. I'll put it in not quite right, because I think he would be a good manager for Chelsea if he came in. I reckon he could get some success and get the players on board, play some good attacking football, but I don't think he's quite right for Chelsea. I don't think he's Chelsea level in terms of managers. Like, again, look at the rest of this list. We're going to be putting them in categories higher up, hopefully. Callum McFarlane, he has no top level professional men's football coaching experience. He did a good job at Man City, the 1-1 at the Etihad. Unlucky with the Fulham game in his second interim game when Kukurea got an early red. Put us in an FA Cup final by beating a decent enough Leeds team. I'll put it in not quite right, because maybe you've seen what Michael Carrick has done in a long period as an interim manager. I know Carrick has had other jobs, Middlesbrough in the past, for example. But McFarlane, he's like, you can't take him as a Chelsea permanent manager. Like, even if he wins every game by 5-0, it's just not happening, is it? Let's be honest. But if there wasn't any decent options and sport directors messed it up so badly that they couldn't get a good manager, and it was just, I don't know, a Marco Silva. Is that his name, Marco? Yeah. Then potentially a year in charge, I think he wouldn't do a terrible job, but it's not what the fans want to see, is it really? Cesc Fabregas, basically the most exciting young manager in all of Europe, done an insanely good job with Como, got them promoted to the top division, the Serie A, finished mid-table in their first year. Now they're pushing for Champions League. They're basically wrapped up Europe. They're pushing for the Champions League in a tough league. They're basically the only team that play with not a back three, or one of the top teams that play with a back four. I watched the Adam Cleary football channel video on Cesc Fabregas. Would recommend watching. He explains how Cesc sets up with. He takes the possession part, the tiki-taka football from Pep Guardiola's playing style, Arsene Wenger that he played under, but then the high pressing, the high turnover, exciting football that everyone wants to see. Really, he has the best of both worlds, and it's just very impressive for what he's done with the players he's had at hand. However, in recent days, as of recording anyway, he said that he's happy at Como. His managerial career in the long term is 30 years, hopefully. So having a 2-3 year job at Como, going straight to Chelsea, it doesn't make sense. And from the outside, it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense to him either. Maybe in the future he could get the Chelsea job, but right now it doesn't make sense. I'll put it in unrealistic. Yeah, I mean, he's one of the favourites. He's in the top 3 or 4, but he just won't leave Como. He literally has so much power there. He has a big say in transfers. He's basically a technical director and a head coach at the same time, which is just not going to happen at Chelsea. The first interview that they'll do, they'll both basically figure out, sporting directors and Cesc Fabregas, that they're not going to work out for each other at the moment anyway. I would love him at Chelsea eventually, but hopefully one of these other managers spends a long time instead. Super Frank, incredible job with Coventry. It's interesting how he's already made so he got sacked the first time round, did a decent job, got sacked, just poor performances towards the end really. But he's already basically come back. Not many people get sacked and go back. Now the third time's more making it right, making the other two right, whereas the second's a bit more muddy than that. But I do think Frank could coach at Chelsea again, but right now I'm putting in unrealistic as well, because there's no chance. I'd put big money on him staying at Coventry. Obviously he's done an incredible job with Coventry, but there's no chance he would get promoted, win the league with them, and then jump ship. Potentially could do a Vincent Kompany, win the league in the Championship, get relegated back down, but have done enough for his career to get a big job like Bayern Munich, which is still insane, but he's done a great job, Vincent Kompany. Antonio Conte, I'm putting it in just wrong. He's done a great job at many different clubs. He's a trophy winner. He did a great job at Chelsea. He won a Premier League, FA Cup as well, wasn't it? He did go to Spurs. He has blighted his Chelsea cult hero level, for me anyway, at least. And he's also, didn't he like cuss out Willian and Abramovich when he left Chelsea? He cussed out the Spurs leadership team when he left Spurs. He is the most combustible football manager in the world, and everyone knows it. He's been to more Serie A teams than, I don't know, Lukaku really. Those two I don't want really to see at Chelsea ever again, and for that reason I'm sure he would do a decent job. He would tell the players, he'd be like, shut up, listen to me, we're doing drills, passing patterns all day, and we're going to win on the weekend. And it probably could work, but there's no chance that he would work hand in hand with the sporting directors, listen to what they say, get fed these transfers. No, it's just never going to work, and it is just completely wrong. This one, you can't really see the top of his head. It's slightly cut off. It is, in fact, Farioli, the Porto manager, a young Italian manager. He's only really had one breakout season, which is this season. He's won the Liga NOS with Porto and Thiago Silva at the back. And yeah, good, exciting manager. I'll put it in not quite right, because Chelsea need, as fans and sporting directors, ownership must agree at this point that we need a manager that's been around. He's had big jobs before. You can't have a Rosinia that's been at Hull and Strasbourg. You can't have a Maresca that's been at Leicester, that rhymes. You can't have a Frank that's been at Derby. You need someone that's been, I know Frank was an Abramovich one, but he did come back. A Graham Potter that's been at Brighton, Swansea, somewhere in Sweden. You need someone that's been at big jobs, been successful as well, and will work as part of the team. And Farioli, maybe in the future, but right now, no chance. I think he even shushed the rumours anyway. He said he will be at Porto next season, so it's unrealistic as well. But if it happens, I don't think it'd be quite right, but I reckon it would be potentially okay. Diego Simeone, he is, as people have put it, the most Chelsea manager that's never managed Chelsea. He builds defensively, sets up defensively, wants to counter-attack, spring forward, win games, win trophies, and that's what he's done with Atletico for a good few years now. 12 years I think he's been in charge over there, and it would be exciting if he was the Chelsea manager. I think the crowd would love him, get behind him, the fans sat at home would 100% back him. The only thing is, people have said that he's the highest paid manager in the world, Chelsea will never pay that, which is true, but I actually looked at the numbers, and from what I could find online, Liam Rosinia, for example, was paid about 75k a week, which is decent, maybe a bit lower than the top managers in the world. Diego Simeone, on the other hand, so Rosina 75k a week. Diego Simeone was on currently on about £550,000 a week, roughly, which is like 8 times the amount Rosina was on. There is zero chance the sporting directors and ownership would pay that, and there's zero chance that he would lower his wage demands that much, and that would be the main stumbling block, other than the fact he doesn't speak English either. So I put it in unrealistic. it would be a pipe dream, really. He is a great manager, very Chelsea. But again, that's old Chelsea. We're a new team. Got a new identity, whether you like it or not, we do. I think the perfect man, moving on to the next one, to match our new identity, take us forward into a new era, would be Xabi Alonso. I'm putting him and give him the keys. He's the only one that can go in this because you can't share keys. He's been at top clubs. He's only had 2 proper top tier jobs, Bayer Leverkusen and Real Madrid. Real Madrid, you can't get in a more pressure cauldron than that. And he did get sacked. He got forced out by player power, which isn't the most comforting. I do agree. But he did have a decent record in the end, and I know he had Vinicius, Bellingham, and Mbappe. You don't need to hear Real Madrid's squad again. But you move past his Real Madrid stint. Look at his Bayer Leverkusen season, the unbeaten season. He lost 0 games other than the Europa League final, which was a bit of a bottle. Atalanta were a good team. Ademola Lookman scored a brace, I think it was. And yeah, Leverkusen should have done better. But that season, how do you win the Bundesliga without losing a game when there's Bayern Munich there, Borussia Dortmund? They're the 2 teams that have won that league for the last 20 years or something. He did an insane job there, and I think his stocks are still high. I think Liverpool, they should take him. I think they should replace Slot, but apparently they're sticking with Arne Slot, which means Chelsea just need to sneak in there, convince Xabi Alonso. I think we need to do the convincing to get Xabi Alonso on side. He would have the trust and have the players on board, like the likes of Enzo Fernandez, Cucurella, can speak Spanish, which is what Maresca had. He had a great playing career himself. Like in Real Madrid training, he's pinging balls in, absolutely firing them with incredible technique. If Garnacho sees that, he's going to be like, oh my God, this guy could do a better job than me on the left wing at the age of 40 or whatever he is, than me as a 21-year-old Premier League player getting paid 100k a week or something like that. And hopefully he'd step his game up. Xabi Alonso just makes the most sense, and I think he would be the perfect manager to build for the long term with our new current era that we're in. I think he would be able to convince players to come and join his stature, and I think he could work well with sporting directors. Let me know what you think, but Xabi Alonso is the guy I want. Moving on to the last 7 managers here, Jose Mourinho. He has also been unbeaten with Benfica this season, although they haven't won the Liga NOS. It was Farioli's Porto, which we spoke about earlier. I'm putting it in unrealistic. He's either going to stay at Benfica or move to Real Madrid. There's no chance Chelsea would be his next club. Maybe he'd win something next season if he did come to Chelsea. Like, hypothetically speaking, he would not work well in a hierarchy, would he? Like he would not be able to get told what to do by the owners. Imagine Bedad Egbali coming in the changing room when Jose is giving a post-match hairdryer treatment. It would just not end well at all. And again, yeah, like Conte, Jose is a legend. He had 2 very successful stints at Chelsea, but he did go to Spurs afterwards, which does blight him a little bit in my books, at least anyway. Yeah, I think Jose won't be coming back to Chelsea. I think that's the cold hard truth. Next up, what no one really wants to hear, the current Brighton manager, Fabian Hurzeler. Great manager. He's like 32 years old. I hadn't heard of him. Was he at St. Pauli before Brighton? They picked him up from Bundesliga 2, the German second division, and he didn't have the best season in his first season at Brighton. Didn't have the best start to this season either. Fans were calling for him to leave. The second half of the season, though, Fabian Hurzeler has absolutely transformed Brighton. He's got the most out. If you look at their lineup, there's not that many good or big names. Jack Hinchelwood is their number 10. They're still using Danny Welbeck. They've got a Pascal Gross on his, like an old Unky Pascal coming back for a second stint at Brighton. They've got Boscagli at centre-back. They've got these names that I don't really know how he's got so much out of them. And he's done a great job at Brighton. However, again, not enough experience to manage Chelsea, and it would just be a Graham Potter waiting to happen. I put him in not quite right because I'm sure he could do a good job, but again, he's not enough experience, and Chelsea fans would riot if we got another Brighton manager in. Next up, probably the most interesting on this list, Felipe Luis. He won crazy amount of trophies with Flamengo out in Brazil. They're a big name, sort of like Chelsea. They're big history, they're big players in the past, they had won trophies, but had lost their recent successful trophy run. Felipe Luis came in and basically won every trophy available to them and played some great football. He's tipped to be the Brazil manager in the future, which does just make perfect sense. And Carlo Ancelotti, Don Carlo is their current manager. Felipe Luis could take over from Carlo once his stint's done. He played for Chelsea, first of all, for one season on loan from Atletico Madrid, 15-16 season or 14-15 season, something like that. He's not even a cult hero status. He played one season, won the Premier League with us, but yeah, nothing crazy. He was interviewed after Maresca got sacked. Chelsea in need of a Maresca replacement. We went with Rosinia. We know how that ended, but his stocks are still very high. I don't think he's ready for a Chelsea job yet though. I would put him in not quite right, just because he's had, I don't know his managerial experience before Flamengo, and yeah, I just don't see it working right now, at least. From what I can tell, from what I've seen, I can't really imagine him demanding respect or being able to demand respect like a Xabi Alonso or even a Jose or a Cesc, but potentially in the future. Marco Silva now, Fulham manager. I'll put it in good hire. I think he's known as a mini Mourinho. He is Portuguese. He has been at Fulham for 5 years, kept him in the Premier League the entire time. Or did they get relegated once? He's a good manager. He's a solid manager. He does well with what he's given. He's brought the best out of the likes of Harry Wilson. Who else has he brought the best out of? It would be a good hire. It would be safe. It would be solid. It would be very non-dopamine inducing, if you know what I mean. It would be pretty boring. I don't want him to come in, but he would be a good hire. From the reports, it said the sporting directors believe he has to be a candidate just because what he's done at Fulham. He's out of contract this summer. Yeah, he probably deserves to be in the conversation, and I think that's what they're doing, but I don't think he deserves to take the job. So for that reason, good hire. Next one, you can't even see his face. This is Xavi Hernandez, ex-Barcelona manager. I think he went to Saudi or something, may have got sacked. I don't know his managerial experience before Barca. He did a great job with Barca with a transfer ban, was it? Or they were just in insane debt. They won the league, didn't they? But he's not been in a European top-level job for a good few years now. He's always linked with big jobs like United, Chelsea. Apparently he is interested in managing in the Premier League, and Chelsea could consider him, but yeah, I'll put it in not quite right again. Most of these are not, they're basically unrealistic or not quite right, because Xavi, I just don't think he's got the experience. Again, we need some like Xabi Alonso. By experience, I don't mean years, I mean his actual experiences. He's managed Real Madrid. He didn't do the best job, he didn't even last a season, but he has learned something from that. Like Frank Lampard was saying, he learned from the 12-game stint where we drew 1 and lost 11 or something like that, when it was Aubameyang, Ziyech, players that wanted to just leave. We had about 30 people training, far too many players, and it was an absolute cesspit of depressingness, basically. But he said he learned a lot from that and took it to Coventry, and look what he's done with that experience. And Xabi Alonso, again, bringing it back, I think he's learned a lot from not only the unbeaten season with Bayer Leverkusen, but the unsuccessful job at Real Madrid. Andoni Iraola. I'll put him in good hire. I'll put him in front of Marco Silva just because he is more exciting. Can I do that? Yeah. He's done a very good job with Bournemouth. It's really flown under the radar until recently, but Gary O'Neill was sacked. They wanted Iraola. They saw an opportunity to sign Iraola as their manager, and I remember thinking, why have they sacked Gary O'Neill, who is now the Strasbourg manager? It's a small world, isn't it? But for what Chelsea need in their next manager, someone that's got some experience, like Bournemouth is not on a level with even Bayer Leverkusen, let alone Real Madrid, which is what Xabi Alonso has done. But Iraola's been in charge of Rayo Vallecano in Spain. brought him up from second tier to the top tier. And Bournemouth, again, like they're not huge clubs. The pressure is nowhere near what Chelsea would be like. And that is the reason I've got Xabi ahead of Iraola. But for what we want in a manager, someone that could work with sporting directors around him, someone that could develop young talent, which is his main point. Look at the young players that he has developed at Bournemouth. I've listed a few: Housen, Circus, Alex Scott, even this Rayan guy, the Brazilian winger, right winger, left-footed, I think he is, straight up Brazil. Does that remind you of anyone? Esteval. He's done an insane, Junior Krupi, I love that guy. Done an insanely good job with Bournemouth. If he had one more job, maybe like if he went abroad, started managing a Villarreal, put them in, I think they're third right now, Villarreal in La Liga. If he got them in the top 2, which would be insane, then bring him to Chelsea. He's just not been at a big enough club yet to manage Chelsea next. But if he did come in, I'd fully back him. And I think he would do. I just think it's too risky at the moment. Anyway, finally, the last one, Julian Nagelsmann. He has been linked to Chelsea for a long time. I think he was linked to Chelsea when Frank left, and it was Tuchel. Or maybe it was when Tuchel left and Potter came in. Nagelsmann's been around for a long time. He's had jobs at Bayern Munich, German international team. I actually don't know what his most recent job was. I'm going to put it in not quite right though. He plays a good brand of football. I think that they have interviewed him before for the Chelsea job. He might have turned it down. I don't think it would work well. I think he would have, again, a bit too much to say for himself. And yeah, I just can't see it working. So there you have it. There is my list. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.